Welcome back to another edition of Traits Triumph by way of What's the Play Productions. I am Christian here with Busy B and Sportsfan 00. And before we even get started, let's all acknowledge that we're on day after Bam Adebayo Day. He made history, 83 points in an NBA basketball game against our local team. So shout out to the Wizards for helping be a part of history. But today we have more NFL draft talk for you all. We're going to be talking about the defensive backs as a whole, cornerbacks and safeties, a lot of people's favorite positions in this class. Sportsfan, our resident expert when it comes to defensive backs, is going to be guiding us through this. But we're going to tier the defensive backs as a whole. Of course, some of the names you know, and then we'll probably get into some sleepers. We'll probably get you all out of here. It shouldn't take too long. But without further ado, how's everybody doing? And then we can get started.
Good, bro. I mean, the game of basketball was pretty dark yesterday, and I hope if you think about it, it can only go up from here. You know what I'm saying? We was at rock bottom yesterday. We can only go up. So,
Brian?
Yeah. Doing all right over here, man. Just, excited to hear Jalen's breakdowns of these DBs.
Yeah, Sportsfan, you saying, basketball is only going up. It really makes me think about, I was watching the game yesterday. I saw Bam get that 83. And I texted in a group chat, this really makes me think 100 is possible. So it's true. You can only go up from here. So it's like, who's next? Let's Jalen Brown 87. Let's get to it. I think 100 is possible. We'll see it within the next 15, 20 years. I actually think this 83 won't last longer than 5 years. That's my bold prediction.
Yeah, we'll be getting 100 at some point.
that's a pretty good prediction.
But let's start talking about football. Yep, yeah. Football. Defensive back, Sportsfan, it's on you.
Okay. I mean, starting off with a lot of players, a lot of people's one-on-one in the whole draft class. I'll start with Caleb Downs. Just going to go with DB instead of like corner and safety. So we'll just start with Caleb Downs. I mean, overall, he's kind of been a 5-star DB ever since he stepped on foot at Alabama and eventually transferred to Ohio State. He's been kind of everything that people expect him to be. So I don't want to get too much into like the positives because everybody kind of knows what he is. He's kind of like a prototypical safety in a certain extent. But I would say I don't think he's one of those safeties that can play multiple roles per se. I think he's one of those safeties that can play deep middle, come down, fill run fits, make a lot of tackles, make a lot of plays on the ball when they're kind of in his range. I'll get into more of that, but I think for what he does at a very elite level. I think he's a very intelligent player, which, makes sense. I think he was like the last, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like he's the last like real good DB that Nick Saban recruited. And if you know Nick Saban, he really likes his intelligent DBs. And then went to Ohio State and showed it there too. I feel like you put him in a zone type of coverage, deep middle of the field, put him in a robber, make him read a lot of things. He can do that very well. When he's quick to diagnose certain things, especially quick game concepts, he's getting there, he's making the play on the ball. He even returned punts. I don't think he's going to do that in the league a lot, but he's really athletic for that type of stuff. Now, I would say the only thing that concerns me, while he is a pretty good runner, in my opinion, when he's there, he makes tackles. I will say he's very similar to, let me think, a good safety comparison. I would say he's probably, to me, he reminds me of a mixture of like, if you ever seen Titans, Kevin Byard, and maybe Eric Weddle or Buda Baker, one of those type of safeties.
I was thinking Buda Baker. I didn't want to say it, but no.
Yeah, one of them type of safeties where they can come through and like make a lot of times, make a lot of plays. But I will say, I don't think Caleb Downs is athletic as a lot of people might think he is. And now I'm making an assumption here because none of these DBs, a lot of these DBs didn't run no 40. Nobody does a 3-cone anymore. Nobody really has these drills other than like the backpedal and weave, and I don't believe Caleb Downs did that. So, he still won't get go top 10. He still may even go top 8. So I don't think it's going to hurt his draft stock that much. But it's really hard to determine in open space. Can he really, like an example of Gibbs doing an outside zone where a lot of these teams are doing outside zones. They're making you go sideline to sideline. Can Caleb Downs run with those players, get through the traffic, and do a lot of stuff? Buddha is eventually was able to develop to do that. Kevin Byard eventually developed to do that. Of course, Eric Weddle did that. I believe Caleb Downs could do it. Just don't really have much combine data or athletic testing to go off for it. So just making a lot of assumptions. He did a lot of Ohio State, but I mean, it's a little different making tackles in open field versus trying to think what's a good Big Ten school. Iowa ran a lot of outside zone and stuff like that, but compared to doing in the NFL. So now I'll say some negatives. I don't know if I don't remember seeing him doing a lot. I don't believe he's like really should be left in man coverage that often. I don't think that's really his forte or his game, especially in like press. Now, I would say if he knows what's going on, he recognizes the route concept and stuff like that, just based on that, he can kind of stay in phase. But if it's kind of more like read and reacting, he just got to like be mirroring up a receiver or a slot receiver who'd probably be guarding on a tight end. I don't think that's his game. I don't think that's going to work for him. But when he understands what's going on, I think it'll be great. And probably run defensive. Probably trying to think. Probably one of the best run defense safeties we got in a minute. It's been a minute. Maybe Kyle Hamilton. But overall, I would say.
Oh, go ahead.
I would just say like he's probably overall one of the best coverage and run defense safeties that we've got in a very, very long time. I know a lot of people saying he's probably one of the best safeties since was the comp. Eric Berry. I know a lot of people saying that. Cal Hamilton, stuff like that. I would definitely say he's in that class of DB. I feel like whoever team get him is getting a really good safety that's going to start day one and kind of be a, I don't want jazz. Let me not say all pro caliber, but Pro Bowl caliber kind of day one. I think you kind of know what you're getting here. You're not doing a lot of risking or assuming that you're going to do what the other DBs I'll get to in this class, but I'll let you guys talk if you have anything about him.
I just want to kind of not expand, but maybe double down on some of the things you said. I kind of see him as a slightly larger, because he's not a super big DB like we've seen in years past, like the Kyle Hamiltons. I think he's like a slightly larger Budda Baker, where Budda Baker doesn't really cut. Budda's all of 5'9", really. Doesn't really play how you would imagine a 5'9" defensive back would play. Like you would have assumed that he would be heavy in the slot and just because Tyrann Mathieu was with the Cardinals right before he got there. You'd assume that play similar to that. But Budda's deep safety, box safety, can do most of it. And I think Caleb Downs is pretty similar, and I believe they probably have a similar athletic profile if he was to have done the combine. Like I think Budda was 4'5", low 4'4", I mean high 4'4s. I think Caleb Downs probably would have been the same thing. It's just in a bigger frame. So that's why I think you're probably seeing the higher grade on him as a prospect, because Budda went, second round? And that was a lot because, one, he's a safety, and then two, because he was a bit undersized. But everybody, in terms of coverage ability, being able to diagnose, you knew what Budda Baker was capable of doing. Of course, it's not a one-to-one comparison, but I do think the things that you're seeing that Budda's able to do, I think you should be able to expect that out of Caleb Downs. Anything in addition would be great, but out of a top 10, top 15 defensive back, I think that's more than enough to warrant the pick. I think a lot of times teams can overthink, or maybe not overthink, but just undervalue the safety position as a whole. Because I don't really think he's a better prospect than Kyle Hamilton was, but Kyle Hamilton ran out there and ran like a 4.9, so he wasn't going to go much earlier than he actually did. But like Derwin James wasn't a top 15 pick. And you have to go, who was the last safety that went super early? Was it Eric Berry or was it somebody?
I think it was Eric.
Jamal Adams.
Jamal Adams.
He was so you almost have to be that freak athlete safety to go so early. So for Caleb Downs to even be in this conversation while not being the freak type athlete shows you that.
Oh, wait a minute. Isaiah Simmons was definitely drafted as a DB. He was definitely.
Are we counting him as a DB?
No, he was not.
He was, because he came into it in the league as a DB. I know that.
He came into the league as a bum. That's what he came into the league as.
Man, don't get me started.
But again, that's another freak athlete.
Once again,
what was
he ran a 4.4 at 6'4". You got to be that type of athletic.
And so for Caleb Downs to not really be that freak athlete, he's just touching 6 foot. I mean, his ability to diagnose plays is what is getting him in this conversation. So you know what you're going to get. The ceiling, is he going to be much better than he currently is 5 years from now? I don't know. But I think he's a very good football player right now. So I don't think there's anything that you should really stress or concern yourselves with. I just don't think he has that super high athletic ceiling that you would see from maybe a guy who could jump 40 inches and runs 4.3.
Yeah.
Brian, you got anything on Mr. Downs?
One thing to add on Caleb Downs. I was I finally found a website that gives me like their measurables, like arm length, wingspan, stuff like that, and they compare it to the rest of the class, position wise, like percentile. And I will say for the rest of safeties, Caleb Downs' arm length and wingspan is shorter than most. So if that's a concern for a lot of teams, which might, because playing the catch point, playing the ball in the air, especially when you're going against tight ends, like trying to think the tight ends that
Chikakonku.
Honestly, yeah, he's a pretty big tight end. Honestly, Colston Loveland, the Trey McBrides, the Kittles are like 6'4" and stuff like that. There's not too many shorter tight ends. That's also a thing. If you're a safety, you're gonna have to guard some tight ends. So that might be a thing that throws some teams a certain way. They might have a cutoff based on how far they can reach our wingspan. If he did the vertical, that would play a factor, but he didn't do no vertical. He didn't do no testing, so it's really hard to determine what exactly his reach is or his catch point or his radius is. So that's another thing that might throw some teams off. You just got to go off the film and believe that's what you're getting.
Hopefully they'll do some measurable stuff at their pro day.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's one thing I want to admit. A lot of players that haven't done a lot of testing, they might do it at the pro day, which is consider a home field advantage, maybe to get a faster clock or whatever. But we'll see.
Yeah, all I would say on Caleb, because you guys basically handle the net with most stuff. Just again, very versatile individual. So he'll be a defensive coordinator stream wherever he ends up. Always around the football, and yeah, I mean, you guys kind of stole my thunder because kind of going to say he's probably what you hoped Isaiah Simmons was going to be in terms of being able to stop the run, being able to cover, but things happen. But I think he's our number one overall. He's the number one overall prospect on all our boards. So I think that shows you how high we regard him as a draft prospect coming in.
Yeah. So, anybody have any? Before I'm gonna pass the floor back to Sportsfan, but if that's tier 1, is there any other defensive back in that same tier for either one of you? Because for me, there's not.
If we're saying Caleb's tier 1, no.
What is tier 1 like? Blue chip? Is that tier 1?
I'd say blue chip, and I think there's someone who's right on the cusp of blue chip, but probably just isn't there yet. Well, there's probably one who really would be blue chip, but let's find out. Walk.
I have a couple of guys that I think would be tier 1 if we were strictly just going based off position, like in the corners situation, but. No, if Caleb Downs is tier 1, it's kind of like the edges and the linebackers where Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese are here, and then everybody else has to fall in line after that.
Yeah, I agree. Sportsman, who you got next? Corner, safety?
It's funny you say this. You said somebody else might be on the cusp. I don't know if he was talking about McCoy, Delane, or something like that, but honestly, my next DB, I'm just going to go based off what he showed. I'm not a doctor, nor do I have access to NFL draft prospects, medical eval. So I have no clue if Jermod McCoy can even backpedal, turn, do a 40. Apparently, he's going to do all this at the pro day. And I believe the pro day is like last week of this month, like the 31st of March or something like that. So we'll be able to, maybe I'll be able to give an update on that then. But for now, I would say Jermod McCoy is probably like, I don't think he's in the same tier as Caleb Downs, but I would say he's probably like right underneath. In terms of, once again, just going off 2024 film, because he tore his ACL after the 2024 season and didn't play in 2025. It's kind of what you want. I'm not going to say want in a corner. He's not the perfect height or weight or size, stuff like that. But I would say he's kind of matches overall to position, right, as an average corner. But in terms of athleticism, he's definitely way faster than I would say Caleb Downs was. He's definitely more fluid in space. It's more explosive. And you kind of see it a lot because it's funny. There's another Tennessee corner in this draft. And both of these corners, both of the McCoy and Colton Hood, I'll talk about later, they played a lot of press man. Not saying they pressed them out of bounds, something like that, but they did a lot of bump and run, and they was able to do that very well. So you can kind of just know based off their ability to do that they're able to really keep up with a lot of receivers running down the field, running fade routes and stuff like that. They did a lot of press. It's I would say McCoy's a lot more patient in this style compared to Hood, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, but most of the time he was really able to stay pretty in the hip pocket of a lot of receivers and stuff like that. Only issue with him, he kind of struggles to turn to find the ball on fades because if you're bumping running a lot of situations where your back is going to be in the ball to the ball. So if somebody's doing a fade, you got to kind of know how to read the receiver in their hands to kind of make plays on the ball. He's not perfect on that. He's done it a lot in certain plays, but still stuff he has to prove there. He's pressing a lot, but he's not, it's not a lot of punch in his hands. He's making contact with receiver, kind of bumming a route, but a lot of other DBs, especially the best ones in the league today, like Sauce, Stingley, I'm forgetting one. Oh, PS2, Gonzalez. When they press, you can really feel their impact. You can really see what they're doing, disrupting the play, because that's really important. Disrupting a receiver off the route for just a second or two can really throw off the whole play. So he needs to prove on that, just become stronger. Who knows? He hadn't played football, and by the time he plays this season, it'd be 2 years. So maybe he becomes a lot stronger since then, and that will help him do a lot. And then I say the last thing, when receivers run like comebacks and he's like in bump and run technique, he can be a little grabby because, in that situation, of course, the receiver knows when he's going to come back and when he's going to break down his route. You're in bump and run. You really don't know what's going to happen. And if you're not ready for it, your first instinct is just hold on so they don't get, open for a play. That could be up a lot of yards. I'll say he did run some zone. It wasn't anything spectacular, but I don't think he was a liability at all. So it's more so. The main issue with him is his medicals. If his medicals check out and he can figure out how to turn and track the ball and limit penalties, he can be definitely a cornerback one for a lot of teams. But I don't know. Does any of y'all know any updates on him?
Well, nobody knows any updates, bro. We just have to hope and pray. But at the end of the day, when it comes to McCoy, I think, like you said, if he was healthy, he might be somebody that's in consideration for being in that same like blue chip type tier. But I think it says a lot that even coming off a torn ACL and having no film and no combine footage, he's still in discussion to be like a legit like top 13, top 14 pick. In a corner class that is relatively weak. Like after the first three corners, it's a bit of a fall off. So for it to be fresh off the injury, it's almost like teams are going to draft him in hopes that he's just going to be able to produce like he was 2 years ago, which may not be realistic, especially for a corner off a torn ACL. It's a lot of turn and pivot and all that great stuff that he would have to show that he can actually do that teams just haven't been able to see. But when it comes to technique, I think he's a pretty good dynamic corner. Decent ball production. Like Sportsfan said, he's a bit physical, so, could tend to get a few penalties. I think him going against that Tennessee offense while he was in college, he was able to, like Sportsfan said, press man, especially down the field, get used to seeing so many go balls because that's what the Tennessee
offense is. Yeah.
He's able to go against something that he probably won't even have to worry about in the NFL because the go ball is one of the most common routes in that Tennessee offense. But being able to go against that every practice, show that downfield speed, and hopefully that athleticism is still there because that is something that would separate him from the other corners in this class is that top tier level athleticism that I don't think Delane or Avieon Terrell necessarily has, which isn't a knock against them because they're both fine corner prospects in their own right. But I think that's just what gives McCoy that leap over those two if he's healthy.
Yeah, so for me, kind of like you guys both said, I feel like he's a guy that is going to be versatile enough to where he'll be productive in man, but I think he'll be better. He'll be a better ball hawk in off coverage just because he's good at, in my opinion, he's good at reading quarterback size and he's good at making a play on the ball, which some corners it's difficult to, even with some cornerback ones, it's difficult for them to create turnovers in terms of like getting interceptions and things of that nature. I think it'll be a situation where, as we said before, the knee's going to be a big question, but I think this is kind of like a Will Johnson situation from last year, where he may drop just because of the injury, especially if he doesn't end up doing anything at the pro day. But I think it's a guy that you look at the talent, you look at the tape, and it's hard for me not to see him as probably is one of the top two corners in this draft, if not the best corner, based on the tape and based on how we see him as a prospect.
Yeah, I would say, a lot of, I would say just the NFL, I'll say sports overall, it's a lot of what have you done for me recently. So I won't say he's certified cornerback one. I'll say he's tied with somebody else that I'll get to next. But I will say positive news. This is quotes here. McCoy, a top NFL draft prospect, expects no limits at pro day. So, you
That's
know,
good.
maybe he really balls out of pro day and he kind of stamps his name as cornerback one. If he has a bad pro day, I do believe he'll probably fall behind the guy that I have next on the list. I won't get into that until you have anything else.
I think I'm good. If you want to move on to your next guy, I don't have any. Well, is your next guy Mansoor Delane?
It is.
Okay, go ahead. Because I have Delane higher than McCoy, but that's primarily because of health. So you can go ahead.
Got you. Funny enough, I was kind of like doing some research right for this episode, and I said maybe I'm not high on Delane enough because a lot of people are comparing him. I've seen multiple websites that's comparing him to Quinyon Mitchell. And people that have kind of read my analysis 2 years ago, or watched my analysis 2 years ago. I thought very high of Quinyon Mitchell. I do not think that highly of Delane personally. I don't see him as the same athlete Quinyon Mitchell was. Now, in terms of technique, I think he's a very refined man corner, and I think he's also very good in zone. I think he showed a lot this year at LSU. He had potential rumblings of a top corner, but he really showed what he can do. Really sticky man corner. He had really good feel for leverage. Really kind of played a lot in space really well. He wasn't, beat on double moves a lot. He had very good hand placement at the catch point. I will say, even though he's a good man corner, I wouldn't consider him a press man corner. I don't think he's that type of athlete in terms of strength and stuff. That, be honest with you, I will say, what's his height? Is he just 6 foot? Yeah, a lot of these corners are just 6 feet. I don't know many corners in here that's like really tall. So he's just 6 foot. Yeah, he has under average wingspan, under average, well, actually really short arm length. So, I don't think press man will ever be his thing, but in terms of just a corner that can kind of play, that's another thing. Quinyon Mitchell, I feel like he had really long arms. I feel like he was really pressing the shit out of receivers. I don't know. I don't see the comp with Delane. I don't believe they played a game like the same, but I'm trying to think of a good corner I would compare Delane to. I gotta think. But overall, I would just say in space, being a really good corner, I think he plays the position very well. I will say the one concern I have, because he didn't play a lot of press, he didn't have to play a lot of trail, so you don't really see him. What's the best way I can say?
Recover.
Yeah, recovery speed. I don't think that's his. I don't think that's that's a skill for him. Like, that's something you respect. That's another thing Quinyon Mitchell, I feel like, did really well. I don't. Once again, these dudes didn't test at the combine, so I'm kind of just going off the film. He could have ran a 4.4, and all this can have been quiet. So I don't know, but I'm just going off what I saw. I feel like he definitely. I don't say he got burnt. He wasn't burnt toast out there, but it's noticeable, especially when receivers really opened up into their stride, and they kind of pulled away a little bit. Not saying he was out of the picture, but it's stuff you notice because the NFL, that difference is very, 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 very different. That small gap is enough for a lot of good quarterbacks can make that throw. A lot of receivers make you silly. So, I don't know if a situation where he's left on an island with a lot of speed receivers, that's going to be good. But receivers are most average speed-ish. He should be fine, especially in space. And zone, once again, solid zone corners. A lot of good zone corners in this draft, in my opinion. A lot of the issues is probably going to be, recovery speed, playing the deep ball and stuff like that. And mainly, let me see. I think it was off the top of my head.
While you're thinking on that, I think for Delane, and the reason, well, outside of health, why I would have him over McCoy is that some of the stuff I've seen from Delane is, in terms of man-to-man coverage, is some of the best read and react tape that you can see from a corner. He is lacking, at least to our knowledge, that top-tier athleticism. And, of course, the size. He's not only, but he is only 6 foot. With regular arms, it's like he's not a lanky corner. And so for him to not be a super athlete, that would be a weakness for him, especially in my eyes when it comes to if he has to go to a zone scheme. Like, I'm sure he can function in a zone-based scheme, but being able to have that extra length to recover or jump a route or truly read, because being able to truly read the quarterback is also being able to truly make a play on the ball. And so he can know what's coming all he wants to, but without the length and that extra burst and athleticism that he does not have, it questions me, and it gives me questions in terms of his ability as a zone corner. But if he goes to a man scheme where it's just we putting you on this receiver and you got to follow him, I think he'll be very successful in that regard. Just only thing he'd be lacking is that long speed, but I think he has the ability to stick with anybody. I don't think, like, he's not a super athlete. I don't think he's necessarily 4.58, 4.59, but he might be 4.51, 4.49, you know, which isn't super great, but that should be good enough, especially if you're not in press man, where he should be able to keep up with most receivers. Like, nobody's keeping up with Jalen Waddle anyway. It's just about technique, and at that point, put on some muscle. If you're really a little slow, and muscle out some of them little speedy wide receivers once that ball get thrown down the field.
I will say this might also be an issue with McCoy. Run defense. That is a part of the game for playing corner. You do have to get off blocks, especially when a lot of teams are focused on getting the ball to the edge nowadays. I think Delane was all right. I don't think he was like being washed out of the play. Just due to his arm length and his size, it might be times where simply he might just not be able to make the tackle. And it's nothing because like he's not trying or he's lack of heart. It's just not going to happen. Sometimes you're just not going to bring down the running back, especially in NFL. I'm trying to think.
There's some tiny corners in this class.
Man. I feel like
I don't see a single corner over 6 foot. Well,
that's okay. I'm not tripping. I didn't remember seeing any.
Yeah, I'm about to say you got to scroll a bit.
I think McCoy. Well, did he measure at the combine, or is this his college measurement? 6'1"?
Probably college measurement.
Man, he didn't do nothing.
That's what I'm saying. I'll say even like, for example, a lot of people comparing to Keon Mitchell, he was 6 foot, like 193, 195. Like he had a solid build. Like it's not easy just to run through him. Delane, it could be some times where if a receiver just knock his hand down, they gone.
Yeah, so and you can tell Delane has smaller arms versus looking at Quinion. His arms, he's one of those corners whose arms just dangle when he's in that stance. Mansoor, you know, his arms look a little small. So they could be the same height all they want, but them extra inches. Keep going. Well, I say something I didn't mean to say.
I didn't know you was gonna go there with that one, bro.
No, all I'll say is, for me, I had Delane over McCoy just because I feel like he's, to me, based on what I saw on the tape, I feel like he's a little more of a ball hawk than McCoy is, because McCoy's, as we've said before, he's really good at sticking with receivers, and he's more of like a boundary man-to-man guy. To me, Delane is like probably going to be probably more of a zone guy than man to me. Of course, Mingle's already discussed like the weaknesses of his game and things of that nature. So it'd be interesting to see what defense he ends up in, because I don't know how productive he'll be in like match coverage and things of that nature, but it'll be interesting to see what he looks like, where he is on the pecking order of corners, depending on where he goes. Because if he goes to, say, Miami, then you're asking him to guard your best one, guard team's best one regardless. So it'd be interesting to see where he ends up. But yeah, so I have him as CB1 over McCoy, who's my CB2. But Yeah, it's pretty close. It's like 1A, 1B, honestly. So
Yeah, I think that covers the top three, and then this is where we may have some differences.
Yeah, my next one is one next DB I want to cover is you gotta tell me if I'm saying his name wrong, Brandon. I'm not Brian. Avieon Terrell.
That's how you pronounce it.
Oof. Perfect. I will say y'all gonna have to tell me how many really, really good DBs it is right now that's undersized. Cause
But it's the best time to be an undersized DB in the NFL.
As a corner, I feel like it's really tough. I don't think there's many. I feel like there used to be more when we were younger, but nowadays I don't know if there's many. How many good DBs good corners is like under 6 foot?
Oh, you say good. My fault. My fault.
Okay.
Because I was about to name the whole Washington secondary, man.
No. That's my fear. Like, they're good on paper, but when you go out there and the receiver's 6'1", 6'2", and they running through you, what's the next step? You know what I'm saying? But, funny enough, I would say as a cornerback, their tape, Avieon Terrell is probably some of the best tape in the class. He's a lot faster than the other DBs in this class. Probably the fastest one we talked about so far. He's really fluid. His footwork is good. His transition is good. Turning and change direction is good. He didn't really have any issue with penalties like that. He was really good at man. He could locate the ball. He forced 8 fumbles since 2024. I mean, his real issue is he kind of small as shit, dog, and he can get bullied. So to a certain point, certain receivers might just have their way with him, and he's gonna have to kind of deal with that. But I said the last good short corner has what? Jared Alexander. I wouldn't say he's much different than Jared Alexander as a prospect. I feel like I'm forgetting.
How tall is his brother?
AJ Terrell gotta be 6'1", ain't he?
And even if he only 6 foot, AJ might be 200.
AJ Terrell
190. Avieon, I don't know if he's really 180.
Yeah, his weight is 180 according to this, but I don't see it on the film.
That must be the Nate Wiggins measurements.
Basically, but I think Nate Wiggins is like 6'1" also. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's like 6'1", 6'2", so that's a little different still. But
it's funny. I really don't have many negatives as like cornerback play for him. It's just his size and limitations. There's just certain things that in NFL they might abuse you for that, and ain't much you can do. If you can't reach the ball and they just body you, what you gonna do? I mean, I will say it's one thing I forgot to mention with the other corners. If you go to a system that play a lot of cover 4, a lot of match, like the one in Seattle and ones like the Ravens about to start running because they got the he's coordinator from the Chargers mentor. We've seen players like Emmanuel Forbes work in the system. Josh Jobe working in the system. Josh Jobe's like 5'10". It's possible.
Forbes is always going to work out.
Nah, for sure. It's not a situation where you're just running like press man, you're leaving, but it's a lot of read and reacting. You're kind of playing in space. Your eyes is always kind of looking at the quarterback and the play in front of you. And I think Terrell can play that very well. So if he goes to a system like that, I think it works. If he goes to a team that's expecting like prototypical cornerback play, like a team like the Texans would expect their corners to run, or a team like the Patriots or the Broncos, it's not going to happen. So kind of depends. He's kind of like a scheme fit type of corner for sure, just based on his size. But his athletic profile tells me he can really be a good corner. Once again, I'm assuming here these dudes that run no 40s, then do no 3 cone. So I'm assuming he's just as fast as he looks on the tape. He did do 17 in the bench press. That's kind of more than I thought he did. That's pretty decent for a corner of his size. So I think he's stronger than what he looks, but that don't make him heavier. So, I mean, it is what it is there. I'll let y'all, if you have anything about him.
Yeah. Before Mingles goes, all I'll say is basically from what I've seen, what I saw on tape, I think he's probably the best blitzer, maybe the best run defender, but obviously, as we talked about with the other corners, being that small corner might not be I think he has the willingness, but he may not be as he may not be your set the edge corner like he was.
I'll admit he actually was really good in run defense. Once again, but like you said, the size. I just don't know how to look in the NFL, but you can't say the man don't got heart.
Yeah, but no, I like what you said because I do think he's pretty good at matching routes. So I do think a match coverage or zone coverage type of team might actually be best for him to play, type of system for him to play in. But yeah, I think a place where he can be deployed. I think he has enough versatility to where he may be able to play in the slot against certain players, but he'll be better. He'll be better on the boundary or in the field. But yeah, he's a guy that I think you can utilize at certain points. Kind of like, I'm not saying he's this guy because the guy I'm about to bring up is top 5, but I think he can be deployed in spots like Devin Witherspoon in terms of like blitzing and things of that nature.
I knew he was going to say that.
I don't think that's crazy. Like scheme wise.
Yes. I'm not saying like
was a different beast, but no,
that's what I'm saying. He's different.
I was looking on again comparing to it's crazy now because he wasn't a Pro Bowl with us, but he eventually became a Pro Bowl. Byron Murphy Jr., but he's definitely faster than Byron was. I've seen some like comps for him. Some comps are Asante Samuel Jr. Not junior. My apologies. Senior.
No,
maybe junior.
Oh, senior?
Maybe.
I think it was. I see junior more.
I'm about to say if he's getting senior comps.
Let me see what his comp. See, Lance Zerron didn't even give him a comp. Is that good or bad?
But either way, I think for Terrell, y'all covered most of it. Undersized outside corner, but he does have that top end speed that he needs to make up for being undersized. I think, like Brian said, the best situation for him, and both of you guys said, the best situation for him would be go somewhere where he can potentially play inside and out, depending on the matchups, where he's not forced into a particular role, forced into a particular spot. Those NFC West teams, Rams and Seahawks, both do a good job of having versatile DBs. That there's not always a true slot corner every game, and there's not always a true outside receivers. Like Seahawks last year, Tariq Woolen got benched and started so many different times that's why he only got 1 year, $15 million this offseason. But just somewhere where he can go be versatile. Like Brian said, an unexpected blitzer, he might be able to get away with some of it. Because if it's not expected, then the size don't really matter. Because, wow. Because you're not expecting him to be coming off the edge, so he may be unaccounted for by the quarterback and by the offensive line. So I think these 3 cornerbacks all kind of similar in terms of frame. I think they all would like to go to an optimal. Like if there was an optimal situation in the top 10 for any corner, I think they all would probably have the same goal of making it there. Because they all would benefit from being in particular roles that hide some of the weakness of being 6-foot corners without super explosiveness.
Here's a funny thing. This will be the last DB I don't have 40 times for, by the way. I just want to say they're all like the same weight. They're all 186 and through 188. They're all in that same range. So, yeah,
those are fake weights.
Yeah, and that makes me laugh because that's probably like the weight of them after like chugging a bunch of water and really like bulking up. I wonder what their play weight is. It has to be less than that. So I don't know. It's definitely interesting.
Yeah. Oh well.
To build some muscle in the offseason.
We're gonna talk about that white boy out of Oregon.
That's the next one.
There we go.
I feel like that's my final tier 2 guy.
Yeah, this is probably like the last guy I would potentially draft round 1. All right. This is a name. Have y'all looked up how I say his last name?
What I need to look it up?
I wish I did, but I
Dillon Thieneman.
Thieneman, man, come on now.
Thieneman.
Appreciate you, Mingles.
Thank you. I would say, how can I say this? Because of how he looks, he's gotten a lot of comps to Harrison Smith. And I think that's very disrespectful to who he is, honestly. And that's no disrespect to Harrison Smith.
I think it's disrespect both ways.
Yes, exactly. I would compare Dillon more to someone of a Javon Holland, kind of hybrid type safety that can do a lot. I'm not gonna say he can't do it at a certain elite level. We'll see if he does in the league, but I think he can do a lot. I don't think he's the run supporter that Caleb Downs was, or Caleb Downs was. Caleb Downs is. But I say he's very good in run defense. He's not going to bring the pop that Caleb did, but he's very good enough to kind of meet what you're kind of looking for there. I would say he's definitely probably faster than Caleb Downs. No, I don't know why I said probably. He for sure is faster.
Our first top tier athlete of the class.
For sure. I will say previously at Purdue, he played free safety. So he damn near was pretty far off the ball, and he's really good in space. And then he went to Oregon. He played more of a hybrid role, playing more in the slot and deep, and he did both really well. Now I don't think he's going to be good in like press or anything like that, but not a lot of safeties are good in the slot pressing. But off ball, he was really able to kind of short area quickness, cover a lot of space. He had the range, kind of go when he was in single high, go sideline to sideline. He did a lot, honestly. In terms of overall just being a football player, I think he's one of the better football players in the class. But because of the safety position and its value, I mean, the only safeties I know that's really getting paid nowadays is Cal Hamilton and Derwin James off the top of my head. That can remind me if I'm missing anyone. I mean, Buddha's getting paid, but compared to them, the other two I just named, and other DBs, he's not getting paid that much.
Yeah, I mean, Holland just got paid, but that's
true. Good example. Holland did just get paid, and seems like that do have their value. I'm trying to think, was anything else? He didn't miss a lot of tackles. He was good in open space. Yeah, I don't really have many negatives. It's just his position value might drop him, and I want to say, let me check his height. Is he 6 feet? He is 6 feet. So I mean, why can I forget? He ran a 4.35, man. He actually ran the 40, and that was probably like one of the fast 40s overall for the position. 41-inch vertical, 125 on the broad jump, 18 bench press. He's a real athlete. He can really do the things he need to do on the field. And his wingspan is 78 inches. That is really, really, really wide wingspan for a safety. So, I mean, he checks all the boxes. I feel like whoever drafted is just getting a really good safety. I'm not sure if the fans will realize that just looking at him, but he is indeed a really good safety. So,
yeah, this is one of my favorite players in the class. I feel like we came in. Well, I ain't gonna say we. When I mentioned him, I think a couple episodes ago, and I told you all that he ran a 4.3. You didn't believe me. Like you said, like a real 4.3 or like a Troy Apke 4.3. I'm like, this is a real athlete. His play style, specifically before Oregon, because Oregon used him more so as like a slot box safety. Kind of reminiscent of like a rangy deep safety like Kirby Joseph. Who can cover sideline to sideline. Now, Kirby Joseph technically, I don't think is the athlete, because I don't think he ran anything crazy like 4.5 maybe. But on film, if you watch football, you've known that the last couple seasons, any ball that is thrown deep against Detroit, Kirby Joseph is almost always at the ball, at the side of the crime. And I think Thieneman has the ability to do the same thing, rangy. And I think with Oregon, he showed that he does have a little bit of chops when it comes to man-to-man coverage. You're not going to ask him to take away anybody's best second or third best receiver, but he can come down against a move tight end. I've mentioned them already on this episode, but the Chigokonko types who may not be the on-the-line tight ends that the big bruisers who he would have to worry about. But the shiftier tight ends or even a running back out the backfield, he could probably take away some of what they do coming downhill. And he's not an awful tackler. He'll come down and get dirty a little bit. He's not the best. That's why I think the Harrison Smith thing was disrespectful to Harrison Smith, because that is something that Hitman 22 did. But at the same time, Hitman 22 wasn't the type of athlete that Yeah, so Brian, I mean, you can go ahead, but Thieneman, I don't know where I'm ranking him in relation to the corners. I'm still working through it. They're all in the same tier, I'll say, because I won't put him in Caleb Downs' tier. But
I mean, if you asking me, right, once again, corner is a way more valuable position than safety. So, like, if I was doing an NFL team big board, value definitely matters, and I would not put For me, at least, I wouldn't put Dillon ahead of those other 3 corners we mentioned. But in terms of overall just being a football player, I would say he's probably second in this grouping right after Caleb, honestly. But safeties have limited value in the league.
Yeah. Like Jalen said, if it wasn't for Caleb Downs, he would be in tier 1 along with the other 3 corners that we talked about. Right now, kind of basically based on positional value, but also just because I have those 3 corners as tier 1 corners. He's my DB5. He would be my DB5 overall. But he's the final tier 2 guy since we have obviously Caleb Downs at tier 1. You guys kind of hit everything. Just he's going to be a guy that day one is going to be able to stop the run, if nothing else. We had him mocked at 18 to Minnesota, so unfortunately the comps might not die down if he does end up getting drafted by Minnesota. Yeah, but
they would actually play very well together too. That's a crazy thing. Harrison Smith, they're saying he hasn't officially retired. They
did say that, yeah.
Just caught him. They said he's welcome to come back. I think he know what type of deal he's gonna get. It's up to him, really. I think he
might do a little Brandon Graham. Honestly, he might sit around to November, let Kyler lead them to like a winning record. They might be first in the division, and they might need some safety, defensive back help, leadership, and they might give Hitman a call. But I don't think that he gonna pick up before July. He needs to enjoy himself. I didn't know he was 37. My goodness.
Hey, safeties at 37 is crazy because that's just so.
Because he's always been slow.
Yeah, speed has not dropped.
That number above me was his speed rating for like the last 6 years.
He still make plays though. He always in the right spots. I will say though, if you ever do get a chance, watch Purdue film, and him playing in the middle of the field. Man, he is. That's why, like, I'm not. Actually, after I watched that film, I had to watch the film after Mingo said he ran a World 4.3. Once I watched that Purdue film, I said, "Oh yeah, he's getting sideline to sideline in a hurry." Like his like deep middle field safety work, big comparison, but it almost looked like Malik Hooker in college. He was moving, man. So, yeah. Did I lose you there, Mingles?
No, man, I'm all in. Malik Hooker, whew, he was special. He was special. Is that Derwin's class? Him and Derwin in the same class?
I think he might have been the year before because I think Malik went with like 6 in the draft.
No.
2017 draft. That was Derwin James, wasn't it? Or was that Marlon Humphrey?
2017.
Marlon Humphrey was Buddha's class.
Malik Hooker, whatever class he was in.
Because I thought Malik went real high in the draft.
Malik Hooker was my favorite safety.
Yeah, he went to 15 to the Colts. I know he went to the Colts. He went right before Marlon Humphrey.
Malik Hooker was my favorite safety prospect ever.
Oh, I'm tripping. This is the same draft class as Jamal Adams. That's why.
Yes.
Okay.
I like Malik Hooker more than Jamal Adams. Stone me. And you know,
that was a little absurd for the time. I'll be real.
At the time, but who's better right now? Well, no, not
Jamal Adams.
Who was better 2 years ago?
Jamal was out of the league, I think.
Yeah,
very close.
Malik Hooker kept the job, man. He was doing his job. It just wasn't appreciated.
Jamal Adams came in the league as all pro though, like 3 out of his first 4 seasons.
2 years ago, bro. We're not talking about came into the league anymore. We're talking about the longevity.
Also, before we move Jalen, I forgot about Xavier McKinney. That was another safety that did get paid, but
low key. Nah, Dillon don't play like Xavier McKinney. I was gonna give him that comp too. I don't like that one. Damn. So just a bunch of Giants safeties. Anyway,
crazy, right?
They had them
I will say after this, I'm not going to talk as at length as I did with the other DBs. I mean, it's not. There's some other good corners that'll probably be day 2, definitely day 2 players. I'm tripping. It's 2 rounds in day 2, so definitely probably be day 2 players. Actually, do you guys have any DBs y'all want to?
I was going to say I want to throw out some names to you. This is how we can close out, honestly.
Okay.
Because
that makes sense.
The 5 that we already talked about are probably the 5 that I'm not even going to say for sure go first round, but we would probably be okay with or expect to go first round. So I'm going to throw out a couple more names.
I would say the only ones out of the 5 that I think that might have a chance not to go first round is McCoy, and that's due to injury concerns. But this is a league that always need corners. I'm not saying always need safeties, but they always kind of need DBs, especially DBs that can play more than one roles. And Dillon and Caleb are those safeties. So I believe all these guys will probably go first round.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna start with somebody who kind of fits along the lines of the name of this. We're gonna go with Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, 6'4" safety, Toledo. What you got? Quick hitters. What you got on the Sports Fan?
Let me see. He ran a 4.52. I'm not gonna say he clunky. Not gonna say he, almost said a word that would have.
He definitely ain't fluid.
Yeah, that's all I was gonna try to say. I ain't wanna change direction a little. He might be forced to play a lot of box safety, and that's not a bad thing. There definitely is a use for those. New England used to have a guy they used a live box safety, almost damn near a linebacker. I can't think of his name.
When was it?
Maybe like 2-3 years ago. Let me check his weight. He 201 though. He gotta get a little heavy.
You're not talking about Kyle Duggar?
Yes, that's what I was thinking of. Do you think that's a bad comp for him?
Yeah, Kyle Duggar was a hitter, man. I think
this guy can hit. You don't think so?
Nah, but he looks like a bit of a twig out there sometimes. But I think this is a developmental prospect. Last year I'm on footage saying that Nick Emanwari, I was higher on him than most. But even he didn't seem to possess the nuance to his game, which honestly I don't think he does currently. But he got to a situation where he didn't really need the nuance because it was just see ball, hit ball, deflect ball. I think McNeil-Warren, I'm not going to say he's a see ball, hit ball, but maybe using the length to be a see ball, deflect ball, see ball, intercept ball type safety, wherever that is, he would need a great defensive coordinator like Emanwari got in order for him to not say get similar success, but have success early. If not, I think this is developmental.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, can he really play the slot? I don't know if he has the foot speed to really play the spot like Nick did. I will say he's probably got to be similar to a strong safety / box safety type of role. I feel like that's where he's going to originally kind of get his footing in the league. And we'll see where he develops after that. I don't think he's going to be the one that's known for playing in space or stuff like that. He's not that exposed, not that good in space. I mean, Nick was a immaculate athlete. His film was just, it was film. It was definitely some safety film, but he made it work in the league because he went to a defense coordinator that know how to use them right. So,
all right, now we got D'Angelo Ponce.
Yeah, that's my dog right there, man. Man, if height and weight ain't matter, man, he would be cornerback one. Just sometimes you just look at players, you're like, he got that dog in him. That is him. And for the Indiana team, he was probably the best corner on that team. Now, the problem is, let me check his official height and weight right now. I'm pretty sure.
They gave him 5'9". They gave him 5'9".
I'm about to say he's probably my height with shoes on.
Nah, he earned his 5'9", bro. He's that.
I mean, yeah, that. Ooh. He sounded like he's ready to be.
He ran that 4.35 too.
He sounded like he ran a what?
He ran that 4.35. He had to.
Where did he run this at? I don't have no combine.
He ran at the combine. Oh, he didn't?
No.
I thought he did.
Oops. He did a vertical. He did 43-inch vertical. That's tall. That's really high shit. I can't fake. So I think he's an explosive athlete. So I don't think his vertical will be bad. I mean, his 40 will be bad. He just has probably the worst size profile in the whole draft. So,
do you think he can play slot long term? Or you think he has to be a boundary guy?
I think he would get run over. Not because he's like scared. I think he has the heart. I think he has the biggest heart in this whole class. Like if it was up to him, he would be Brian Dawkins for real.
He's got the biggest heart.
Biggest heart for sure. Like he put it all on the line. But dude, it's 5'9". Hold on, what's the weight? What's the official weight? Hold on. Give me a second.
Probably like 170.
182. Okay, hold up. The other corners was 188, so he's not that far off. So, depends.
They all tiny. So it's like he might as well.
He might as well. Somebody gonna draft him. He's gonna be a really solid corner. I mean, his height, he actually has to play the slot. You're right. He can. I don't think there's ever been a corner that size that's been good on the outside. Brent Grimes, maybe. That's the best I can give you on the outside.
That was a different era.
That was a different era. Brent Grimes was a different type of corner. He was out there guarding Calvin Johnson on the outside. They're never doing that again. The league will never let something like that happen again. So, yeah, it's tough. But he's a dog though. I think he can do everything you kind of need a corner to do. It's just, he's 5'9", small as shit. But I think he's gonna get drafted still. You need dudes like that. And his pro comp is Mikey, by the way. If he was curious on that,
bro.
I was saying he'd be good for the Commanders' DB room. They didn't sign.
Give it what they do right now.
I'm like on this other website. His pro comp is Mika Robertson.
There's only two of them in the league. It's only two of them you can get compared to.
Oh, chill. They got Umpton Stalin here.
Oh my goodness. Next, Brian, you had one because I did have one. If you
well, I know there was somebody Jalen wanted to talk about earlier in Colton Hood. So,
oh yeah. That's the last corner that I was really worth noting. Did he run the combine? Yes, he ran a 4.4. I just had to give props to guys that ran the combine. Size wise, he's an average cornerback size and weight. Actually, in this class, he 193. He's a little stronger than the other guys.
And he's 6'1".
Is he 6'1"? Because this joint telling me he's 5'11". Is he really 6'1"? He might be 6'1". This website could not.
Oh man, that 190 almost made him call the family.
Hold on. Let me double check. He was at
the tape solid though.
That's what I'm saying. He's a really good. He's 6 foot. Hey, 6 foot 193. That could be
class. I
would say. Now that I know it's high in weight, and he's really, I think, a really good, decent. I gotta pick a word. I'll say good press corner. Carlton Davis. I think that's his comp. Immediately off rip. Carlton Davis is his comp. He'll never be an elite cornerback 1, but to come and be a cornerback 2 and do a lot, I think he can do it.
Still get paid.
And use his strength. I mean, Carlton Davis been burnt up all across the league. But look at him, still getting paid, still playing press man. And sometimes he get picks, sometimes he get toasted. But
sometimes it just happens like that. That's what Emmanuel Ford is going to be.
I mean, honestly, as a corner, you can get burnt any day. And Emmanuel Ford's still in the league? Is he still in the Rams?
Come on, man. Come on.
Okay. That's a bad question.
He would be the second corner on the Arizona Cardinals. But you don't want to hear that.
I'm trying to think. What did he? I don't know. We got a lot of guys coming off injury, so maybe.
Well, we counting the people coming off injury then. They just gonna get hurt again like that. Never mind. No, not too much on the Arizona Cardinals. That wraps up the defensive back episode. We covered just about every first round prospect and touched on a couple. Maybe day 2. I don't think we touched on any day 3 guys, but stay tuned because next week we will have another episode for you all. Is it next week mock draft or
next week should be the mock draft?
Woo! Yes,
post free agency.
We're gonna get plans, seeing what we gonna do. Will we have trades? Will we not? Will we see big surprises? We'll find out. So that means you must stay tuned for the next play. Out.